The Pod Network Entertainment.
You're listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast, and this is episode 2 of the mini-series we've started called Wrestling Fan 101. So, medyo iba to from our usual episodes kasi hindi news or hindi current events in wrestling yung pinag-uusapan natin. It's really us trying to distill what it is to be a wrestling fan for somebody who is either not a wrestling fan or trying to explain it to someone in their lives na hindi wrestling fan, because we've all been there, diba? Now, if you're not a wrestling fan and you're checking out this episode, thank you for making us a part of your podcast listening diet. Napaka-niche ng podcast namin at ng mga pinag-uusapan namin. So, for you to be taking some time out to listen to this means a lot to us. And if you're somebody who has been going through all of these conversations pero wala kang ibang makausap or hindi nyo alam paano i-explain yung wrestling dun sa jowa mo or sa crush mo na gusto mo i-impress pero wala siyang alam sa wrestling, that's what we're here for. That's what we're trying to do here. So, Ro, let's explain to the people what we'll talk about for episode 2 of Wrestling Fan 101.
Okay, so last time we talked about how to start watching wrestling. So you might have already started watching wrestling, but it might not immediately all make sense to you. So for now, for this week's episode, we're going to tell you the basic concepts, or the actual 101 of pro wrestling. Para mas maintindihan niyo naman yung pinapanood niyo.
So it's all 5 of us here, myself, Rowan ASH, Emil Nate, Chino Liao will all be chiming in. And we've got 4 big points to really explain the basic concepts of wrestling. And we're going to start with using the F word. Is wrestling fake? Now, it's kind of funny to talk about among ourselves because we're all in on it. But the basic summary is that wrestling is predetermined. Right? There's a story that is being told, kind of like any TV show or movie that you watch, any scripted show that you put on your streaming services. There's always an end goal. And to get to that story, syempre kailangan nakaplot lahat ng mga gagawin at sasabihin ng mga characters that are involved.
Tama. And you just said it when you said that we were all in on it. People who watch wrestling normally watch something that is fake because there is, or that is predetermined. Kasi may stakes involved, may kwento, may beginning, middle, and end. Diba? May plot devices, may climax, all that, conflicts, all that. Lahat ng pinag-aralan natin sa grade school English class natin, lahat yan papasok dito while you're watching wrestling. Actually, if anything, wrestling uses sports as the genre. Diba? It uses sport, like if you watch something like Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon, diba? And yung fantasy. Dito, yung wrestling, ang genre niya isn't drama, it isn't comedy, it's sport. It's the action that happens in the middle of the ring, diba? And everything that leads up to that action is involved in the narrative of wrestling. So when watching wrestling, ako personally, I watch wrestling with the lens of an audience member at a theater show rather than a fan in the bleachers.
You guys have anything to add?
No, I thought you were gonna chime in on it. Pero ako sobrang daming, I've encountered so many people asking me this because I would always watch wrestling in public, in a library sa school namin. And this is the first question that I usually get asked. You know that's fake, right? No, it's not fake. It's predetermined. That's what I always answer.
Look at you.
Smart. Mga ilang beses
Actually,
mga 10, ganyan.
Ilang beses yung pinractice yun.
Yeah.
No,
mga 10,
no.
mga 12.
Yun lagi sinasabi ko because if you watch a wrestling show, right, the bumps are real. Those are not fake. Those are not those are not CGI. Hindi siya animated. What you see is people actually doing stunts. So it's not fake. Kung sasabihin mong fake yun, yung mga stuntmen na gumagawa ng mga stunts sa movies, the same logic, fake na din yun. It's not fake. It's real people doing physical stuff. You know, bumps, like hits, strikes, movements. So, may kwento. Yun yung hook ng wrestling is the story. Sige,
We
Rowan.
hit a nerve with Emil, but that's okay. That's okay.
No, but we're explaining. We are explaining what wrestling is. We're not
Oh, like,
not therapizing Emil here.
sorry, sige.
I mean, may sarili kang episode, don't worry. Labas mo lang yun. Narating
Sige,
din
Rowan,
tayo
ikaw
dyan.
muna.
He's like Drake. You got him in his feelings.
Okay, so to Emil's point, parang ilang beses ko rin ginawa yun. Actually,
Don't get into your feelings as well. We are explaining.
yeah,
We're explaining what
but
wrestling
to-
is.
exactly. Well, to
He's
my
getting
point,
there.
yeah, exactly. But I did that too. Wrestling is predetermined. Like, to put it simple, like sinabi ni Fabio Makisig, to reference him, like, you can't fake gravity. And when it comes to like movies, diba, they have take twos, diba? But when it comes to wrestling, you can't do that. And the props they use, like the chairs in wrestling, the weapons they use, it's real. Pero when it comes to like the movies, it's like made out of rubber or like styrofoam, diba? So yeah.
Magandang araw para sa mga mas nakakalurky na storya,
Mas masayang kwentuhan.
mas nakakautot sa kaligayahan na chismisan.
Mga kaabang-abang na storya.
Aba, tutok na lagi sa Tambalan Podcast.
Next question, when it comes to explaining wrestling and its basic concepts. Totoo ba yung mga kwento? Totoo ba yung mga pinapanood natin? And are the people's characters who they really are?
Oh, go Chino. This is your forte.
If you were to ask Rowan kung totoong magkapatid si Undertaker at si Kane, then he would have his own answer for that. But
It's good for 5 seconds, by the way.
yeah, it's a good. It had its time. We should let it die where it dies. But to be honest, ang wrestling kasi, it is a narrative format, right? It is a narrative format that utilizes a lot of fictional elements. Sometimes fictional elements are derived from real world events. Medyo meta. Okay, hindi tayo magde-delve doon sa work, shoot, and all that. Those are things that you will encounter after you watch a little bit more wrestling. Magpadami ka muna ng XP bago ka sumabak dun sa ganung world. Diba? But in its basic core, wrestling is a narrative format. Therefore, all the people involved are fictional. Diba? They may have realistic origins, diba? Real world origins, but everything happening in the confines of the show is 100% fictional, maybe not 100% planned kasi live show ito, but 100% purely made for the purposes of storytelling.
Yeah, the thing about this is that when the acting is good, you will believe that nothing is fake or fictional here. I think the better word yeah is fictional, not fake. So when the feelings are strong, when the acting is really intense, just remind yourself that it might seem real, but it's all work. Diba? It's all the term for that is work. We'll get into terms in a future episode, but it's all work. It's all fiction. And sometimes, as Sheena said, it might be inspired by real events and real emotions and real relationships. But those times are relatively few and far between. But for the most part, if it's on your screen, if it's happening on your screen, the wrestlers or the personalities involved, they have agreed to the content of the story that they are playing, that they are partaking in.
Yeah, you already mentioned yung word na playing or portraying. That's also the reason kung bakit merong good guys and bad guys. Diba? Like any story that you watch, whether it's a TV show or a movie, kahit music video pa nga, diba? May bida, may kontrabida. That's why there are people who are sticking up for the values na pinanghahawakan natin bilang tao. And there are people who go against those very values para mainis ka, diba? Para magalit ka. So those are the roles they play. And that's their part in the story. Okay, next. How do you find out who wins? Na-establish na natin, di ba? Wrestling is a work of fiction. Isa siyang katang isip, parang yung mga character. How do you know kung sinong mananalo?
Okay, I'll explain as the wrestler here, as the actual person. I mean, Stan is in business as well, but as the person who is made to win and lose here. So it depends on what the story needs. So China said that there's a story that that's being told. So if the hero has to lose in order to redeem himself and come back stronger, then he has to lose. When it's time for him to win, he will win, and the villain will lose. It really depends on what the story needs.
Minsan din minsan common sense din eh. Like if you're watching a movie or watching a story, di ba? You're gonna come up with your own ending at the end. And sometimes in wrestling, the most common sense finish do happen. Like if someone who was sa story di ba, may yung hero lagi siyang inalipusta nung heel all throughout from the beginning until almost to the end of the story, lagi siyang talunan, lagi siyang inalipusta. So common sense dictates that like common sense dictates that kung ikaw, you're gonna root for the good guy to win at the end. So
no, that's easy for you to say because you're already familiar with how to dissect wrestling tropes. So this is for those who are not. No, you're saying that because the people we're talking to don't know.
Yeah.
okay.
Nasa 101 pa lang tayo, Emil. Yung level of comprehension mo, nasa 301 na.
Okay.
So
I guess yung example. Sorry. So I guess yung example ko na the FPJ psychology, like does that count or does not? That doesn't
you can
count.
explain it. Go ahead, explain it.
All right. So I'll give that example, the FPJ psychology. So whenever I would watch a wrestling match, my mom would always watch along and she would always notice na, ayan, nakikita mo yung good guy na yan. Lagi nabubugbog. Tingnan mo sa huli, mananalo yan. So if you watch those classic FPJ movies, laging nangyayari kay FPJ yun, like nabubugbog siya. Pero pero in the end, he would find a way to find an opening and get the advantage, and in the end, he will win.
Yeah, that was what I was saying. Now, if you follow along to the
but
story,
don't call it common sense because not everyone knows how to look for that.
Okay, that's my mistake. But if you follow along the story, you're gonna come up with your own conclusion at the end.
Yeah.
So, mali lang yung nagamit kong word. But that's what I was getting at. Sorry.
All right, let's finish it off here with the last basic concept, diba? Kasi pag meron kang kasamang non-fan na nakita niyang nanonood ka ng wrestling tapos may nakita siyang very impactful move like hinahampas ng steel chair yung kalaban, sasabihin niya, hala, masakit yan, diba? So do they actually hurt each other when they're wrestling?
Okay, pro wrestler gonna talk here. So we are trained to minimize, not get rid of, to not completely not hurt our opponents, our partners, our match partners. We call it partners. So we're really working with each other. So we're pulling the curtain back here and saying that we're working with each other to make sure that we don't hurt each other too much, because there is a degree of pain, there is a degree of hurt that we will be experiencing as we wrestle in the ring. So as Rowan said, you can't fake gravity. We are falling on ourselves, on our backs when we take a bump. We'll explain that in a future episode as well. So hindi rin maiwasan na minsan medyo matigas yung pagka strike, pagkasipa, pagkasuntok, yung mga ganon. There are a lot of instances rather, where somebody will accidentally hurt someone else. And let me tell you, those things, wrestling in that regard is real. The pain is real. The risks are real. So it's okay to worry about us because we are actually getting hurt there. So if you hear someone saying na, di naman talaga sila nagsasakitan, hindi totoo yun. Kasakitan talaga kami. Pero hindi sadya.
Masakit.
Yung sadya na sakit is us hurting ourselves, but not hurting each other.
Siguro to make it more practical or to ground it, diba? Bones and flesh versus steel always wins. Bones and flesh versus wood always wins.
Yeah.
Diba? So masakit talaga pag hinampas ka sa kahit anong surface. I've only really been in one match, but being a ringside manager dito sa local scene, I've also been caught in the fray, diba? So I've also taken contact. Naslam na ako pababa in the center of the ring. Masakit yun. Na-concussion ako. Nasapak na ako ni Casey Montero. I was knocked out for like a second or two.
Sprained your ankle.
And I sprained my ankle when Casey Montero landed on me. Ano pa, separate incident pa yon in the same 3-minute time span. So,
There was also a match where you got stiffed in the stomach, diba? Tama ba? Yung tumumba ka na matagal.
No. That
was acting.
That was
Oh yeah,
acting.
sorry.
No.
One thing to mention pala.
Sell ako
Now that
daw.
you mentioned that up. So when it looks like we're hurt, when it looks like a wrestler is hurt, oftentimes, they are acting hurt. That's what we call selling. We'll also get into that. That's how we make it look real. So it's okay to worry about your favorite wrestler when they look hurt because it means that the hurt is real. But like 80% of that hurt is just acting for the audience.
Tsaka yung
Actually, we want you to worry about
Yeah.
us.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
want you to
yeah.
worry about your
Yeah.
favorite wrestlers because that means na invested ka sa fate ng mga wrestler na yon.
Yeah, actually, if
Oh.
I may give an example, me and my girlfriend, when we started dating, we watched the Nexus debut. So she was really concerned kay John Cena kasi like, oh, is he getting hurt for real? Tapos, dapat ma-arresto sila because like, she doesn't know the concept na it's just a storyline, by the way. So this could also be an example to our previous bullet na, or the story is real. Pero like she's really invested into it. Na she thought the story was real and she thought that John Cena was getting hurt for it. Well, he is getting hurt for real, pero it's what he does for a living.
Right. Okay.
I think when they think na the wrestlers are hurting, in a way that's them being invested in a match. Na
That's what he just
So-
said.
no, yeah, diba? Like
That's literally what the three of them just said.
No,
And,
yeah, like I was just repeating the point na pag nanonood ka tapos tinatanong mo yung katabi mo, oh, ano ba yan? Like injured ba talaga siya? Or it means you're investing in what you're watching. That's a good
That's what
thing.
he just said.
Alright, sorry.
And another example kung heel naman, 'di ba? We got this person na, hala, yeah, sige, bugbugin mo yan, hatawin mo ng silya, parang ganun.
When you
That's
want him
another
to get hurt, rather.
Yeah,
When you
yeah,
want
yeah.
the person
Yung
to get
heel,
hurt.
the villain. Pero kung sa babyface, sige, ano yan? Like cheering for the babyface, of course, or the good guy.
All right. So that's episode 2 of Wrestling Fan 101. Sana may napulot kayo, especially if you're not a wrestling fan
Yeah.
or if you are a long-time wrestling fan and you've been trying to find ways to explain these things to yung jowa mo, yung pinopormahan mo, or that annoying boss who keeps looking over your shoulder when you're trying to watch wrestling during your break. May ma-explain ka naman, may magagamit, may bala kang may lalabas, diba? We hope that this episode serves its purpose. So we'll catch you again in a few days when our weekend reactions and picks of the week episode go up. Pati na rin yung live stream every Thursday at 7 p.m. Go catch that on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. In the meantime, you can connect with us on social media. It is at Wrestling2xPod on TikTok and on Twitter. Individually, it is at EML_Meister, at Monday Night Rowan, at Chino Supersize, at Rowas War, and at _Stan C. For Emil, Rowan, Chino, and Ro, my name is Stan, bringing us to the end of another episode of the Wrestling Podcast. Thank you very much to the Pod Network for all the work that they do behind the scenes. And stay safe, stay hydrated, and stay dry. And don't be a dick. Wrestling Podcast. Out. Later, Outcasts.
Peace.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.